I was born in a business family, a trader, basically. If you live in a town where I live on a child, the only thing you do there is trading. My father was a trader, my mother was a trader. So the only thing I knew about is trading. They insisted I must go to school, but I was more interested in what they were doing. So I grew up, of course, became a trader, got involved in business, like every other young person that grew up in Onitsha. But as I get on in life, I find that there's more in terms of giving back to the society and contributing in building a better society. Even when, of course, you're trying to make money, but there's more in trying to support a better society, in doing things that works for everybody.
There's a story from 2001 where you're with your professor along the lake, and I would love for you to share the story with the audience.
Okay. You know, in my business life and living a life as a young man, I started wondering, you know, I lived in the UK for 10 years, and I see things going well in the UK and things not going well in Nigeria. Out of curiosity, I said, maybe I wasn't as lucky as you had. Maybe these people have something, or maybe there's something in these people that is not in those of us in Nigeria. So I decided I'm going to go to most business school. You just read a few of them today. I went to London School of Economics, Harvard, Columbia, Kellogg, Oxford, Cambridge, INSEAD.
Everything but Wharton, apparently.
You know. In fact, people asked me, said, you are an alumnus of Oxford, Cambridge, what? I said, I was just looking, maybe there must be something that, and I went to all these schools, I didn't. But in 2001, I was in Kellogg. Everybody who have been to Kellogg knows that they have a famous dean of graduate school called Professor Donald Jacob. Yeah. It was almost like he's the founder. So in 2001, I had a 3-month course seminar. He took us on what he called the world economy. For 3 months, he never mentioned anything about Africa. Not one day. So a day before the last day, and the last day of that lecture is going to retire. He's been there for 57 years. A day before the end of it, I raised my hand. And I said, Dean Jacob, you have not said anything about Africa. He said, Peter, do you want to know about Africa? I said, yes. I paid $40,000 for this. And you have not spoken about my continent. So what am I doing here? He said, tomorrow I'll tell you about Africa. So the next day, he finished and looked at me and said, do you want to know about Africa? I said, yes. He said, there's nothing called African economy.
Controversial.
I said, have I seen a vehicle called African spec? Now we have American spec, Gulf spec, Asian spec, European spec. Have I ever seen African spec? I said, no. He said, in your country, do you have 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan? I said, maybe, I think so. I haven't seen one, but I believe there will be somewhere. But I told him, I said, I think so. He said, join me for lunch. So I joined Donald Jacob for lunch. If you know Kellogg very well, it's on bank of Lake Michigan. So after having lunch, we had lunch, he said, let's take a walk by the lake. As we were taking a walk, he asked me, do you have any of your country's currency? I said, yes. That time, the biggest denomination in Nigeria was 100 naira. So I brought 100 naira out. And he brought $100. And he said to me, which of these two currencies do you prefer? And I said, the dollar. He said, why? I said, because it's 100 to 1. 100 naira to $1. So he asked me to keep the dollar. So I kept the dollar. So I've got $10,000 as against 100 naira. So I kept his dollars, and we walked like another about 100 kilometers again. And he said, Peter, he stopped again and said, I should bring out the $100. Of course, I was imagining, because I've already assumed I've gained this money. I hope he's not going to take it back. And I brought it out again, hesitantly, that I don't want to lose it, because for me, it's already home. So I brought it out again. He brought out my 100 naira, and he said to me, Peter, which of these two currencies do you prefer? And again I said, $100. Why? I gave him the same answer. He said, let's sit down. There was like a bench by the lake. He said, let's sit down there. So we sat down, and he looked at me and said, Peter, let me tell you, young man, the only reason why you prefer another country's currency to your currency is the amount of faith you have in your country. You don't have faith in your country. Economy is driven by faith. And you can only have faith in your country if there's a hope. I have taught in this school for 50-something years. There's no country that doesn't have a problem. Chinese people keep their money in Chinese yuan. Singapore in Singaporean dollar. Malaysians in ringgits. And he went around. Then there was no euro. Said Italians in Italian lira. Germans in
Marks.
dogs. German, listen. Brit, UK in pounds. Nobody wants to keep his money. But because you don't have faith in your country, you prefer another country's currency, making it stronger and better. Can I ask you for a favor? I've been interacting with you for the past 3 months. You've always been asking one question or the other. Because there's no day I come to class, I was ready to cover the money I paid. So I make sure I ask questions, because I don't want to go back and miss anything.
Get all the tuition worth.
Yes, I want to know. So I said, he said, you've always asked questions, you've always wanted to know. But today, can I ask you for a favor? I said, okay. He said, go back to your country and participate in building public wealth. Public wealth enriches everybody. Individual wealth impoverishes everybody. You should serve in the public space. That's where you belong. I know you're chairman of a bank, you're this. So if I tell you what I'm saying now, it will be difficult for you. But you've told me you've reached certain, you've done well for yourself. You can afford to pay for your food. Just go and serve. And that was the last time we spoke, until I met him after being governor.
Oh, wow.
Because I had to come and report to him what happened to me.
Gave him a status update.
Anyway, I went back, and something happened. Everybody that know my state or knew what happened in my state then know that schools were closed for 2 years. Children didn't go to school. So I went back with that at the back of my mind. I arrived at my house one day and said to my wife, I'm going to be governor of my state. And it was like Steve Jobs asking John Scully to come and stop selling sugar water. She was like, where are you coming from? You have not voted. You don't have anything. Why are you going? What are you talking? I said, I'm going to be governor of my state. I want to go home and campaign to be governor. I can't continue doing this when the system is collapsing. These children are not in school for 2 years. So I decided to get involved. That's the beginning of my politics. That's why I said until it was changed from that day. So that was my experience. And probably that's what I'm inviting most of you to go and do.
Thank you so much for that.
In a country blessed with human and natural resources, yet burdened by poverty, insecurity, and mistrust, one man has continued to represent hope for millions of Nigerians. A man whose record speaks louder than promises, Peter Gregory Obi. He is not just a politician. He is a reformer, a builder, and a believer in what Nigeria can truly become. Peter Obi believes that no nation can rise above the quality of its education. He proved this during his time as Governor of Anambra State, a period many still call the golden years of education. When Obi took over in 2006, Anambra schools were struggling. Teachers were demotivated, classrooms were in ruins, and students were failing national exams. But Obi didn't complain. He acted. He returned mission schools to their original owners and partnered with them, investing heavily in teacher training, learning materials, and infrastructure. Within just a few years, Anambra moved from the bottom to the #1 state in WAEC and NECO results nationwide. Education became not just a policy, but a passion. That same vision is what Obi plans to bring to Nigeria, where every child from Sokoto to Port Harcourt will have access to quality, affordable education. He believes that investing in teachers and modern learning tools is the real foundation for economic growth. In his words, you cannot build a nation without first building the people. When Peter Obi speaks about security, he speaks from experience. Anambra State was once considered one of the most dangerous states in Nigeria. Kidnapping, armed robbery, and cultism were daily realities. But Obi approached the problem differently. He didn't just send police to the streets, he equipped them. Under his leadership, Anambra bought hundreds of patrol vehicles, built police stations, and installed communication systems. He strengthened community policing, encouraging citizens to work hand in hand with security agencies. The result, within months, kidnapping dropped drastically, and major towns like Onitsha and Nnewi became safe again. Now, imagine this model scaled to the national level. As president, Obi plans to decentralize policing, giving local communities the power to secure themselves, while ensuring the military focuses on national defense and terrorism. He believes that true security comes from justice, opportunity, and inclusion, not just guns and uniforms.